The galactic hegemony spent 3 centuries cataloging us as Type 0 biomatter, primitive, predictable, and delicious. They didn't realize that while they were studying our biology, we were rewriting the physics of their demise.
Wait, zoom in on the anomaly.
When the first harvester ships arrived in our atmosphere,
definitely not the satellite.
they didn't find a larder.
Are we recording this feed?
They found a noose. For 300 years, the empire of the Cool Tsar viewed the inhabitants of Earth much like a farmer views a field of ripening wheat. We were prey species 44 beta. To them, our wars were merely the scuffling of insects. Our art was meaningless noise, and our technological progress was a slow-motion crawl toward a harvest date they had set before the first steam engine ever rattled to life in Manchester. The Cool Tsar were not cruel in the way humans understand cruelty. They were indifferent. They were a trans-dimensional collective that fed on the bioelectrical signatures of sentient evolution. To them, we were a battery that had finally reached full charge.
Are the outer defenses holding?
It began on a Tuesday in mid-July. The sky didn't turn dark, it turned silver. A shimmering lattice of Cool Tsar harvester ships, each the size of a small moon, phased into our upper atmosphere. They didn't send a manifesto. They didn't demand surrender. They simply lowered the siphon, a beam of coherent gravitons designed to liquefy the nervous systems of every living thing on the planet, distilling our consciousness into essence for their nobility to consume. But the siphon hit something it shouldn't have. 10 miles above the surface, the beam shattered. It didn't dissipate, it reflected. The silver hull of the lead harvester ship, the Apex Maw, didn't just dent, it vaporized. In the control rooms of the hegemony, alarms that hadn't rung in 10 millennia began to scream. What the Cool Tsar failed to realize was that humanity had spotted their stealth observation probes in the late 1990s. We didn't destroy them. We didn't even acknowledge them. Instead, the world's governments did the one thing humans are best at. They lied. We created a ghost civilization. Everything the Cool Tsar saw for the last century, our radio signals, our primitive rocket launches, our internal squabbles, was a scripted play. While the hegemony watched us struggle with fossil fuels on the surface, the real progress was happening in the hollowed-out crust of the moon and in the deep-sea trenches of the Pacific. We weren't building cities. We were building a trap. We weren't a species of prey. We were a species of hunters who had learned to play dead. Initiate the perimeter breach, Admiral Sarah Chen commanded from the Deep Earth Command. She wasn't looking at a map of Earth. She was looking at a map of the Cool Tsar Empire, a sprawling network of 14,000 star systems, all connected by a singular loom of subspace corridors. For centuries, we had been bleeding technology from their probes. We didn't just learn how to travel faster than light. We learned how to fold the very fabric of their borders back onto themselves. As the Apex Maw struggled to recalibrate, 10,000 shadow frigates, ships built with non-reflective dark matter plating, slipped out of the lunar shadow. They didn't head for the harvesters over Earth. They headed for the jump gates. The Cool Tsar had spent eons expanding their borders outward. They never expected an enemy to emerge from the center of their own dining table. The High Sovereign of the Cool Tsar, an entity whose consciousness spanned 6 dimensions, felt the first tremor of fear through the loom. It wasn't a physical pain, but a logical paradox. The prey species shouldn't have had the capability to interact with the loom, yet the jump gates at the edge of the Andromeda cluster were failing. The 44 beta signals are anomalous. They aren't just resisting, they are replicating. Every time we fire a disruption pulse, they absorb the energy and use it to stabilize their own wormholes. Sovereign, they aren't fighting a war of defense. They are executing a pincer maneuver. Across the Cool Tsar Empire, the borders began to glow with a sickly violet hue. This was the human fold, a technology derived from the very harvesters meant to kill us. We had realized that the Kulzar relied on a centralized energy grid. If you cut the edges, the center would starve. In the Rigel system, a Kulzar colony world watched in horror as the stars themselves seemed to go out. It wasn't an eclipse, it was a Dyson net, a swarm of trillions of autonomous drones launched from Earth's secret shipyards, unfolding around the Kulzar sun. We weren't just attacking their ships, we were stealing their power. "They call us prey," Admiral Chen whispered, watching the real-time feeds of Kulzar sectors falling dark. "Let's show them what happens when the sheep starts eating the wolves." The human fleet was a masterpiece of modular engineering. We didn't have the elegant flowing lines of the Kulzar vessels. Our ships were brutalist blocks of tungsten and reinforced ceramics, powered by singularities we had harvested from their own discarded probes. They were ugly, they were loud, and they were indestructible. The Kulzar military, the Shield Brood, scrambled to defend the homeworld of Zar Alpha. They jumped through the loom, expecting to find a small ragtag fleet of human rebels. Instead, they emerged into a graveyard. Thousands of their own merchant ships were drifting, gutted and silent, and surrounding the entire star system was a ring of human fortress stations. We hadn't just reached their borders, we had become their borders. The Kulzar were now inside the cage. The Kulzar High Sovereign attempted to initiate the final purge, a protocol that would collapse the subspace corridors and incinerate any biological matter caught within the transit nodes. It was a scorched earth policy. If the Empire could not feed, it would ensure its killers starved alongside them. But the command didn't execute. Instead of a system-wide meltdown, the Kulzar central processors displayed a single image, a primitive golden disk. It was a digital reconstruction of the Voyager golden record, a relic they had intercepted and mocked centuries ago. Now, it acted as a Trojan horse. Every bit of data the Kulzar had ever stolen from Earth had been laced with a slow-acting logic plague. We hadn't just built ships, we had built a virus that thrived on their very way of thinking. The Siege of Zar Alpha. Admiral Chen's flagship, the UES Retribution, decloaked at the literal center of the Kulzar capital's throne room orbit. The ship was a kilometer-long slab of dark matter and spite. "High Sovereign," Admiral Chen's voice echoed through the telepathic channels of the Kulzar, translated by the very machines they used to enslave others. "You spent 3 centuries looking down at us. You studied our heartbeats, our adrenaline, and our fear, but you never studied our history. If you had, you would have known that humans are never more dangerous than when we're being hunted." The Kulzar Shield Brood attempted a desperate counterattack, but their weapons, phased plasma and light lances, simply slid off the hulls of the human ships. We had developed reactive gravity armor. Every time they hit us, we used the energy of their own blast to strengthen our shields. The border was no longer a line on a map, it was a tightening noose. From the farthest reaches of the Andromeda Fringe to the core of the Kulzar homeworld, humanity had arrived. We weren't there to conquer or to occupy, we were there to dismantle the machinery
These drills
of
were never about the
predation.
bombs.
The
They were
Great
about masking our
Integration.
energy signatures from
As the
Kulzar
Kulzar
scanners.
Empire collapsed, the prey species did something the predators never expected. We didn't commit genocide. Instead, we opened the gates. We liberated the thousands of other species the Kulzar had kept in evolutionary stasis for harvest. Within weeks, the galaxy transformed from a larder into a bustling network of liberated worlds. The Kulzar, stripped of their trans-dimensional feeding tubes, were forced to do something they hadn't done in a million years: survive on their own. Earth didn't become an empire. We became the wardens. We built a perimeter around the entire Kulzar star cluster,
A 21st
not to
century
keep them in,
battlefield.
but to
While
ensure
tanks
that
fight
they
on the
never
surface,
again
underground
viewed
tunnel
another
boring
living
machines are
soul
silently moving
as a
human
resource.
warships into position.
The stars are no longer a place of mystery. They are a testament to human resilience. If you enjoyed this journey from the depths of
104,
Earth's secret bunkers
the global
to the heart
blackout
of a
test.
fallen alien empire, don't let the story end here.